Well, hello and welcome. Whether you are either watching us via video or listening, I'm excited because I have another fellow organizer. You know how I get when I'm talking to a fellow organizer, and it's Elle Sangalang, and she is a therapeutic organizer. So, Elle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So before we get started into just really talking about, because today we're going to talk about ADHD and declutter and how you know, you can work through it, but what made you decide to be a professional organizer?
Well, when my son was diagnosed with autism, my organization went into overdrive because you really need routine and organization for ADHD. And so I've been pretty much a tidy person most all my life, but it went into overdrive. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, from your experience, when someone is, dealing with ADHD, what are some of the things that maybe if they're trying to declutter that they really shouldn't do?
Okay. Well, you should not multitask. That is something that would really cause more stress, and not to overcommit yourself, and just to stay on like maybe one task, maybe a junk drawer or one shelf, um, and even just setting a timer for 10 to 15 minutes um, helps a lot. And also, I would say not procrastinating. I think a lot of times we can procrastinate, and that just makes it even worse. Um, just causes more anxiety. So I think the key for that is just to start. Just start. Use that timer and just start. I would say I think another one would be perfectionism. I think sometimes we wait and thinking that we need to have a perfect organizers or the best bins or organizational tools, that kind of thing. And then we just never start. Um, I'd say another thing would be not to compare ourselves. I think a lot of times we see Pinterest and we think that's how our house should look. And I think it's just kind of an unrealistic expectation a lot of times, especially if you have kids. So not to be hard on ourselves, not to criticize ourselves, I would say would be another thing. Not to be so hard on ourselves.
But I like what you said about not multitask because I think sometimes people feel that that's a good thing to do because basically, I guess, trying to do a couple of things. But even, I learned you can't multitask because when you are just like focused on one thing, you can really get things done a lot faster and without
Mm-hmm.
all the anxiety and stress. So you already mentioned a few things of what some of the things we could do, but what are some other things like for somebody who's actually listening and saying or watching and saying, you know what, I think I want to, like you said, start. What are some things that they can really do to kind of move forward and maybe get rid of maybe one pile or maybe one drawer?
Yes. Um, I think what would be key is visual cues. Visual cues and reminders help tremendously because labeling the boxes, labeling the bins, color coding things, um, visual is the thing that you have to think about. Clear bins would be best. I would say also establishing routine. Like for my son, I have well, both of my kids, but mostly my son. I have a morning routine, an evening routine. For example, the evening routine, he needs to reset his backpack when he gets home from school before touching his phone or his
Okay.
computer. Reset your backpack, throw away all the garbage that's in there, um, take out any papers you don't need anymore, make your lunch, you know, things like that to get things ready for the next day. So I would say definitely routines and schedules. And I think most people have heard the one in, one out rule. So when bring something into the house, something that you buy, then something else needs to, and everything needs to have a home. Like you can't have homeless clutter everywhere. One thing that I did see on Instagram the other day was this one mom that has ADHD. She has a utility cart with on wheels, and so her family would just put things on that instead of cluttering up the countertops. And then if company comes over, you can just shove it, like wheel it into a room somewhere and not have to worry about trying to pick everything up and that sort of thing. And then also saying everybody needs to look at the cart, get whatever they have, whatever their item is, and put it in their home. But
Mm.
during the week, sometimes we don't have time to do that. So
And that is true. And I think sometimes people are a little hard on themselves because they think they're not organized because they're like, oh, I just got back and stuff, and I'm unpacking and this, that, and the other. I says, but that's normal. That's
hmm
normal. We need a process. It's not like we just come back and unpack and everything is where it's supposed to be. There's a little process. So I like what you said, just like a process, but also like having a place for things. Because I do think,
hmm
even with anybody, if you have a place for something and it leaves it, you're not as stressed because you're not looking for things all the time. So,
exactly, you know exactly where it is and where it needs to go. Labels are very key.
oh yeah, definitely labels are always the key. So, so how do you stay organized? Because you've got your clients, but you also have your
hmm
family, you have your personal, your social life. So how do you manage to stay organized?
We use the Google Calendar for sure. My hubby and I, we have different schedules, of course. So we have color coded on there. One kid has a different color than the other, so we have their school activities on there. I color code my client appointments so that my husband knows that he needs to pick my daughter up from school, our daughter, while I'm with a client. So that helps a lot. And then I think another thing we do is we use Alexa. Alexa we use for reminders, um, you know, the shopping list, to-do list. In fact, I said Alexa and she just
I
went
know,
off.
I just heard her in the background.
So I'll just say LAX. But yeah, she helps tremendously. So I also use it to like listen to music and podcasts, learn things while I'm decluttering, organizing, cleaning. So that helps me.
I know. I hear her in the
Sorry.
back. She's like, she's just so used to hearing your voice and giving her those little
Yes,
instructions.
yes,
But that's good. That's good that you're using technology really to help you manage it all. Because sometimes people
mhm,
feel overwhelmed, but a lot of times we have everything at our fingertips that it can really help us
yes.
be organized. So that's
I
good.
would say
That's good.
one last thing would be I have a decorative file folder, and that's where I go through that every Sunday. So during the week, I'll put homeless paper clutter in there, coupons I might want to use, or school papers that need to be signed but not right away, or that sort of thing. Um, so I think that helps a lot too. Just something that I can just put it there and I can deal with it on Sunday.
I like that. I like that. I think mine's is like a basket. Stuff I just
hmm
like, okay, I know I got to deal with it. I'll deal with it on Friday. So I just goes in the basket. So,
hmm
so Elle, how can people connect with you?
Very easily. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and it's I'm sorry, the Therapeutic Organizer. So same thing with my email, L at the therapeutic organizer.com.
And of course, those of you who are watching or listening, I will have all of her details in order to connect with her in the description below. Elle, thank you so much for taking time today just to be with us and really share how, those of people who are dealing with ADHD can really begin to declutter one thing at a time.
That's right. Thank you for having me.